Hi guys, welcome back to Insomnia Truesilver Championships Qualifier. With me, Nox, I'm Loader, and we will be casting round 5 of the
Yeah,
Open Qualifiers. And it will be between Moody and Laion. We have no idea about Laion. We didn't see him before. But Moody was playing already a game that we did cast, and he was quite good, I would say. And we know that
yeah.
he is a Romanian, very good top tier 1 player from Romania that he's practicing with RDU from G2, from my team. And we'll see how it goes with the next round for him. We will have 8 rounds in
Reno
general.
Jackson, right? That's
Yeah,
what he plays, I think.
yeah, that's what he plays. And everyone here in this tournament has still 2 more rounds to play because it's 8 rounds of games, and the winner of the whole tournament doesn't get a prize, as we would say in general, but he gets an invite to Insomnia Truesilver championships championships LAN tournament, which has 30K dollars, $30,000 prize pool, and which is even more important, he gets the accommodation and the travel to the tournament from whatever place he lives.
Yeah, that's very important. That's basically like it's free for you to attend. Or in some cases, I guess you'd have to pay to attend to an event. That's basically make sure that you don't have to. Kind of like if you were an invited player. Like when the pro player attends an event, let's say, very often you get accommodations paid if the team doesn't cover it. If they really want you there, they might be able to pay. In this case, you're basically a pro player for all intents and purposes, which is pretty cool. So as far as lineups go, there's a Reno Jackson Warlock from Moody. We saw
Hmm.
a Paladin and Druid. We didn't see his Paladin, I don't think, because he ended up not playing with it because he didn't need it since he ended up going 3-1. There was one deck that he played that didn't get revealed. Lai is playing, or Lay, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name. He's playing Druid, Warrior Pally, which is a very slow lineup. Unless he's playing Secret Pally, Aggro Druid, and Patron or Warrior, I feel like this could be a very slow-ish lineup. There's no Zoo that we can tell. Obviously, there's no Hunter, so no Tempo Mage either. Could be a very defensive lineup.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. We'll see how it goes. I mean, really curious to see the outcome of the games. And as you said, we didn't see all of the decks yet, right? So
Yeah, one of the classes we haven't seen yet is Priest and Shaman as well. I think we saw none of those two. So despite the fact that the metagame shifted quite a bit, it seems like people still don't favor Mech Shaman despite the new Tunnel Trog. I thought that new one drop would make a much bigger splash than it apparently had, giving Shaman that little bit of Mana Worm-ish type of potential in the early game, the ability to play Totem Golem on curve and do a lot of work. Either it hasn't really consolidated itself very well yet, or it's simply not something people think is strong. We'll have to see. But I feel like over the next few weeks, that's something we should see a bit more come up.
okay. I mean, myself, I don't see. Geez, what was the card you mentioned?
Tunnel Trog, the one drop.
Tunnel Trog, yes. Tunnel Trog is an awesome card, awesomely designed card, but the problem is with Overload itself, because it just puts Shaman way too behind on board because of that. Even if you play a Spirit Wolves on turn 2, you're just basically denying yourself turn 3 play, and that can mean that you are basically always behind, because you can't just, swing the game around, even with early board presence, especially if play against classes that have access to AoEs. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's always a big issue, but I figured Mech Shaman would try to do some work, because Mech Shaman has all the goodness of the Mech Shaman that I always did, except now it's getting an additional one drop, right? And a good reason to run Totem Golem in that deck. So you turn it into a very Zoo-esque deck with a lot of burst. But we haven't seen any of it. And first game looks to be a Paladin mirror match with Laion on Secret Pally, and Moody probably, I'm going to suspect, on Secret Pally as well. Haunted Creeper works very well with Redemption, works very well with Avenge, works very well with the Juggler. So looks to be a mirror match.
It looks like so, and the opener with double mini bots and a Haunted Creeper might be very problematic for Laion, but the fact is that he has Mr. Challenger and Moody doesn't have it yet. He picked up a one drop though, but do you want to play it when you
might as
up
well
with a money bot?
I mean, you could be bluffing Redemption.
With the Hunted Creeper, right? You can just play Hunted Creeper, so your opponent will play a 2 HP minion. Like a Knife Juggler?
Like a Juggler, let's say. Sure, but I think playing Juggler into a Creeper is very risky, right? Because there might be the own Juggler, there might be Muster for Battle, there may be Coghammer. So it would be risky either way for Laion. Playing the Shield mini-bot means you could kill a Shredder off curve. You also live through another mini-bot attacking into yours. I feel like a 3-3 is worth a bit more against Paladin, considering you're forcing Truesilver champion for the most part.
That's true. So we'll see how it goes. Mini-bot is being played by Laion, and the competitive spirit will not make a difference yet. Oops.
I'm sure it'll add up. You'll be fine, Lothar.
My phone is
dead.
Not dead. Not dead.
Is phone kill?
No,
Is phone kill, Lothar?
Phone tap.
Okay.
Anyway.
So Moody here has the option of going for the Creeper, but again, I still feel like developing more power minions on the board is great. In this case, what he does by playing the Noble Sack is he denies the Divine Shield, he denies the use of Truesilver Champion with the ping from the mini-bot's shield as well, killing his 3-3, so he's keeping his board safe. The thing is, this can only last so long. If he doesn't find a weapon of his own, another power minion to play, he's basically doing nothing, while Laion might be just increasing the average power of his board.
That's true. And in this situation, when you're aware that the opponent keeps the coin, that most likely means if he doesn't drop a 4-drop right now on turn 3, that means he for sure has Belcher or a Mysterious Challenger on the upcoming turn, and that puts a lot of pressure on Moody, and he has to find a way to play around that. And for now, he has actually no options.
Yeah, I mean, and Laion can even go for something boring, like, Shield the Mini-bot Avenge, which lets him keep the coin. Also, whatever dies will buff the other one. And whatever has 4 health, whichever of these two ends up with 4 health, is gonna live through whatever's on the board right now. So Moody's best option at this... Whoa! Well, that may change things quite a bit. Would you go for Blessing of Kings on that 3-3 after attacking the 2-2's Divine Shield?
That feels like the natural move.
Right, but is that the move, right?
You can also go for 100 Creeper, Hero Power, and just... that's it.
Well, looks like Moody is not going to get himself a crazy King's play. If you do this, you're leaving yourself vulnerable to an Aldor Peacekeeper. May not be that big of an issue, but you still have to consider the fact that if that happens, you're pretty much out of steam. Whereas if you play Creeper Hero Power, you're also not too vulnerable to Consecration. So I think the development of the board here is a much better play, because it gives where you otherwise have nothing.
Yeah, well, I would go for the 100 Creeper and Hero Power. But I like agrees.
All right, when you can pack, 7 damage to face, why not, right? Is the reasoning behind this, and he's not gonna get punished for it just yet, unless something disastrous happens. The problem now for Moody is that the secret dude, Mysterious Challenger, is coming out next turn. He has to suspect that this is the case. He's probably hoping, right, that a 7/7 can do enough work in the meantime to carry him forward.
Well, it is a lot. The problem is, and this is something we also talked today a lot, is the fact that Paladin has almost no burst, right? And if you have no burst, then even though you had a initial push with a huge minion, you're stopped in your tracks at some point, and then you're being overwhelmed by the board control of your opponent.
Right. It's kind of like when you're a druid and you go innervate, coin, Dr. Boom on turn 2, and the enemy zoo player plays, really bad minions with power overwhelming and kills Dr. Boom. All you're left with are boom bots, no more ramp, and no card draw until turn 7. The initial push is worth a lot, but sometimes it's better to hold on to that extra bit of damage early, just to make sure that your long game is a bit better. And right now, however, Moody with the Avenge that he picked up gives him a good curve on 5, and if he picks up even a Powdered Shredder next turn, if he doesn't pick Challenger up, Shredder's great.
Okay, well, but still, he has to top deck that. And that's the problem. What about... let me think. What about Belcher would be
Coin
even more.
Challenger?
Belcher would be more amazing than anything else. I would say.
Sure. Oh no, you're right. You're absolutely right. Now, however, there's a chance that Moody's mini-bot gets buffed to 10 attack. And I was gonna say, if that happens, then that means... If that happens, that means that if he finds Truesilver champion, the spider eats the noble sack, and then the mini-bot wins the game. In this case, though, by spreading the damage, there is no way that the mini-bot can even guarantee lethal at all.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So, do you pop the shield?
Masterful battle wouldn't be bad.
Sure.
That allows you. That allows you to pick up the noble sacrifice with your weapon, with the light's justice, and then go through with 11 damage if your opponent doesn't trade with the hunted creeper. But I think this is the situation when you have to trade, because basically you are decreasing the amount of damage that is coming from the other paladin.
But this noble sacrifice is Moody's redemption, because what this does is it will stop whatever minions left on the board from Laion. In an app, this is really crushing because redemption triggers on a 2-1, which unless it gets avenged, will die to the spider. There is no avenge. It's in Laion's hand. That's all he had.
Yeah.
So now Moody gets free trades.
Does he get free trades? Because he can also just go for face. And
eye for an eye, Lothar. No, I think you're right. Maybe going face is the proper play because I mean Laion has to make the trades anyway, and you've got him on a 1-turn lethal. Dr. Boom alone would kill your opponent next turn. The thing is, right now with the competitive spirit trigger, your 7/7 dies, but you're taking away 2 minions with it.
I think you should just go face, go aggressively. This is something I always telling that people are not aggressive enough. Goes for the passive.
Lothar is really unhappy about this because right now, Laion's got a noble sacrifice to deal with. He can't go through it, right? Obviously, he can't right now. But he's also safe.
Moody is not setting up the lethal for next turn, and this is something I don't really like when you have a Dr. Boom follow up next turn.
Right, so now if you attack, say, the 1-1 with your 6/5, or even attack face, pick your target, whichever one you prefer. If you play Lothar with Avenge, that gives you a decent board. There's probably consideration to be made for something boring like Juggler Kings, but I don't think that's better than Lothar in most cases.
Yep.
You could also opt to use the 1-1. Here I was going to say use the 1-1 to maybe get the 1-1 off the board or hit the 7/7 so you can kill it, assuming it's not Noble Sack.
Okay,
but it is Noble Sack.
So he has to trade, but at the same time,
or try to trade.
Sacrifice. Yeah, of course.
Right, so Avenge. Okay, so what I like about this play from Laion, and I think Noble Sack, even though it denies that, it gives you more minions on the board next turn to use with Kings. And Avenge also has more targets.
Yeah. Well...
Yeah. No trades, right? Just no trades.
No trades.
Ever. That's a lot of damage.
This is a problem. I think when there's a secret like that on your opponent board, you just go face with that 1/1, deal additional damage, and that's it. Because you don't... Basically,
you don't want to give him 2 more damage. Yeah, you're feeding him damage, right? And survival.
What?
Okay. Really? That is not what I expected, but it played around Repentance beautifully. As ridiculous as that sounds,
but that's not the correct play.
It's actually working out. I can't imagine it's the correct play, but it's working out though right now. It's just that right now, Laion gets the trade on the 7/6, uses the juggle with Dr. Boom to wipe out the entire board, and unless this is a complete disaster card like Gilbin Stalker, I don't see this going very wrong for Laion anytime soon. Oh man, 3 hits. All right, he misses them all.
So you have to trade, right? Do you?
Well, let's see if the Kings or the Truesilver champion come out. Does that change anything?
Let's think. I have no idea how many Seekers does he have left, because that's the most important thing, right? If he has 1 Noble Sacrifice, but I think he doesn't. So if he has Noble Sacrifice and he has Avenge, then it makes sense. Otherwise...
Well, he's gonna make a trade, man. He's making the trade. Mana Wraith comes out. meaning he can't actually use a hero power with this, so he's gonna go for the Doctor Boom.
I guess he wasn't planning on using Mr. Challenger because he did trade first. But still,
Sure.
Look at this. This is the same problem we had a few times already. By being passive and trading too much, you put yourself in a situation when your opponent is making a comeback based on your action and not on his action.
So you being too passive gives him a window of opportunity that he otherwise would never have.
Yes, exactly.
That's something we've kind of touched on earlier. It happened against, I think Hachiman was being very defensive as Spally against a Druid player, and the same thing happened to him. Maybe Moody fell into the same trap, but I think there's a lot to say about where you're on the line. You know, you're not a tournament player necessarily, and then you end up in a position where, wait, 7, 11, 12. You know he's one off lethal right now, right? Does he have it? I think he's got it with a Muster for battle. Oh my god! The Boo Bot!
Wow.
For 4!
Well, that was quick, I guess.
Well, Moody did get punished.
He did get punished by being too safe.
What on earth just happened?
Well,
that's not something I see every day, though. I mean, it's very uncommon. You know, we talk about these crazy scenarios. I mean, the punish was real. Either way, I think overall Moody was still likely to take the game by a small edge. If the game went on maybe a bit longer and the boombots hit properly. But this was the ultimate worst scenario that solidified what we were talking about, which is the whole, you know, being too passive and going back to the tournament nerves. I feel like it takes a lot of practice to get over your fear of losing, because when you're in a tournament setting, you forget to play the outs. You don't play the odds anymore, right? You play for the win or for the not loss. You play for the end result, which is not necessarily playing the logical approach. And in this case, this costs players a lot of games, and he's gonna have to just lose the Secret Pally and try something else, the Reno, Jackson, Warlock, in order to go through. But Laion gets to replay a very simple deck, the Secret Pally, into something that takes a lot more decision making and is maybe more difficult to get a win with.
And that's what the thing that you said about being too nervous in a tournament setting, something that touches a lot of players. You know, not only the players that are not being known yet, but also the pro players, the semi-pro players. I can see that a lot during my casting, that people are still thinking, like, usually they're super comfortable with playing at home, and they can easily make correct decisions and plans for future turns. But when they are being observed by thousands of people on stream, that drastically changes, and they're not so sure about their decisions anymore. And yeah, this affects mindset of the players a lot, and this is something that people are maybe not aware as much, but this is one of the feats that distinguishes the top tier players, the top tier pro players from well, the rest of the herd.
Right, and that is absolutely true. I mean, there's very little, you know, a lot of people laugh at the fact that it might take, how was it earlier? Somebody put it in the chat, it was kind of a funny comment they made. Like, it takes Gal to play tournaments in Hearthstone, haha, like it's even, you know, remotely stressful. The thing is, when you take the game seriously, the fact that so much of the game is also variance-based and out of your hands, it does put a lot of stress on you as an individual, and you have to accept it. And still play your best game.
Especially when you're putting a lot of cash to travel to a tournament, an example, and you do it from your own cash. That was the beginning of the game, basically. No one had organizations. No one was having any sponsorships. Everyone was paying from its own pocket for every single tournament that they were attending, and that was a huge deal. I mean, still,
I remember the days of Frodan being almost. How did you put it? He was on the verge of just being homeless, right? You know what I mean? It's basically, I have no money in my pockets and I don't know where this is gonna go, but I'm gonna give it my all. And it ended up paying off, but it's a very, very flimsy thing, like esports. And right now, I mean, the tournament nerves, if you're not able to control them, what they mean is that you might lose a single event and come back later, but it's even worse when you're paying a lot of your own money to put time into the game. It's just so distressful to play a game.
Yep. And well,
back to the game, by the way.
Let's get some games. So we
How do
see
you play this turn? How do you play this turn?
Well, you have Doomguard in hand and a second Void Caller, so I guess you can go for that, right?
But there is a noble sack on the. There's 2 secrets on the opponent's
okay,
side.
yeah, I missed that. Of course, I missed
How
that.
do you? If you implosion,
You can implosion your own minion.
you're laughing now, but I think that might be the play.
No, it's not. I think it's more important to kill the Night Juggler. So now you know it's only 1 secret left. Would you trade with the Pulsar Shredder to get maybe the Doomguard out?
He probably wanted to try, but it didn't pan out. Now there's 6. That's lethal. GG.
7, 11, 14. Yeah, that's lethal. You can even get 1 over because you have Competitive Spirit in hand, which will buff Secret Keeper's attack.
Secret Keeper.
Yeah, by 1.
See, that's kind of what... See, it's funny because whenever I see Secret Paladin, right, I keep thinking to myself, well, no, this deck is not very good in tournament settings. And then I see it in tournament settings and Frodan just steamrolls dice. And then I'm like, maybe it's better in tournament settings than I give it credit for. And then I look at it again and I'm like, no, it can't be. It's too easy. And then, I mean, it turns out that people who know how to play around the deck do very well against it in tournament settings, like the pros. But it still takes games against them that seem like they're so one-sided, it's not even fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we discussed also. It's funny that we touch every single topic. Like it crisscrosses every single topic, right? Because beatdown decks, aggressive decks, have always the chance to win. Always. If you're just not as skilled as your opponent, but you play the aggressive deck, you always have the option to kill.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're asking the questions, right? Yeah, of course. Yeah. You're asking the questions, and in that case, you're always the one who's going to be able to dictate the pace of the game until maybe the control player or the more defensive player is able to turn the game around all of a sudden and make it like a reverse blowout. Laion's hand here, although sometimes I would be unhappy about keeping it, I feel like with 2 secrets and a divine favor, it's hard to say no, because you've got the coin, which means the druid doesn't get to empty his hand as fast as maybe he'd like to. And you're able to go Secret Keeper, play a secret. Because you have a second secret, you can kill an Aspirant on curve. And you're able to refill that hand as soon as possible.
Yeah, and the problem that Druid usually has is the fact that he can't really deal with minions that have huge HP. Like, do you recall how he was dealing with a Undertaker?
No, I don't even want to talk about that card. Can we please let it die for once?
Well, this is almost the same, but it doesn't build more board control. So this is the only difference. But as the card itself, it's almost... I would say it's even better, because the secrets are cheaper, right? In Secret Paladin.
I mean, it's only better because there's a follow-up of, like, Challenger later down the line, right?
Yes.
Because if you didn't have that, then Secret Keeper would ultimately never be good. It just fixes those bad starts. Which, by the way, if you're Moody here, do you develop that Keeper of the Grove to get a 2/4 on the board? Or would you rather Wrath and keep the Innervate for something later on? Because if you use Wrath now, if you want to play Keeper next turn, you have to waste mana a little bit. It might feel a little worse. That's a weird turn for Moody. It's not a high priority target, but I really want to get it off the board as soon as I can.
With your now, how to say that? With the current card choices that he has in his hand, he has really to think about it. What will be his turn 3, 4, 5? Because he doesn't have anything on that, right? So using Wrath might be just more correct. But the problem is, he has to pick up a 4-drop or 5-drop. That is not Keeper next turn.
Oh man, and Laion picking up here the mini bot, which doesn't die, the Keeper of the Grove. You know, we need Earthshock back. We need mini bot to be a 2/1. There we go. You want to bring Shaman back? I found a solution. Mini bot's a 2/1.
That's actually a good solution. But would you play mini bot if it would be 2/1 for 2 mana?
With Divine Shield?
Well,
I'd
it's
at least
basically
consider it.
Argent's Horse Rider without charge, so you pay 1 mana less for the no charge.
Or it's an Argent Squire with 1 more attack.
And yeah, that's not good enough, right?
Yeah, I think not. Alright, so Noble Sacrifice has been set up by Laion here. Moody is actually in a great spot. He picked up a 4-drop and a 5-drop that you can play. You know, the 2 Shredders can be played both as 4 and 5. You're happy about it either way.
Yeah, exactly.
Ideally, sure, you might want to find something else like a Belcher, but I'm perfectly content if I'm a Druid player in a position like this to have a Shredder to play on 2 turns.
Exactly. Basically, the Shredder can be a 5-drop. I don't see a problem with that. You can also pick up a... No, okay. There's nothing for 1 mana druid. Unless you're playing Living Roots. But that's probably not the case.
Naturalize.
Probably not. Savagery.
Angry Chicken.
That's a beast. And that's not a beast druid. I guess it's not.
Okay, so this line of play here from Laion is actually very straightforward, right? He's not actually telling his opponent anything besides, well, I just set up a secret, and based on my board, do you really think it's competitive spirit? And Moody's gonna have to answer with, no, I don't think so. It's gotta be redemption, because why would you play this? And it's interesting, because it's gonna work against Laion, right? Since the secret won't be triggered, and it'll become a 4/3.
And a 2/2 minion with air power. With spell power is being played on board. That doesn't make any difference, but the problem is it's being traded by the weapon or by the minion.
That's actually a crazy turnaround. You can use the 3/3 to kill the 4/3. You can kill the kobold with your weapon. Then you can go Knife Juggler plus Muster. And with the amount of knives you hit, it's very possible that you're able to kill what comes out of the Shredder.
Yeah.
The 3/3 apparently from the competitive spirit will play a big role.
It will. It will. It definitely will. But he needs a swipe. Basically, that's what Moody needs. He needs a swipe to stay to be still in the game.
I think he's still able to do this. I mean, if Explosive Sheep comes out of this, I'm going to laugh until I die. The odds are slim. So he's going to play it safely here. He's going to give the Druid the ability to answer the board. I think Moody will be happy to. I mean, this is the type of board where I'm very happy to play Emperor. I get double Wild Growth for 1 each. Oh, wow.
That's a good drop. I would say that's a very
draw. That's a very bad draw for Laion. Unless you go, you know, Coin, Truesilver, Divine Favor. I think at this point that might be... You can't even kill Emperor this turn. Unless the Juggler goes Godlike mode. You'd have to even play Muster with that.
Yeah,
Wow.
I guess. Yeah, you have to.
So you can't play Truesilver. So you have to override your Muster with Truesilver.
And that doesn't feel good.
Yeah, no, there's no way that feels good ever. And you can't use your weapon now because you need to attack with Truesilver afterwards. So everything has to go very well here for you. One on the
One
Emperor,
hit.
one on the Annoyatron.
That's
Wow,
perfect
alright.
for now.
Flawless for now. That's even better. You can use the 1/1 to trade and then coin Truesilver, clear the board.
Yeah, that's fine. That's like... Now, even with swipe, he's not being punished. And that's very important.
Alright, so Moody needs to pick up...
There's no swipe, but here's Dr. Boom.
Yeah. I mean, you have to keep Wild Growth for a card draw later on, of course. It's very cheap. The question is, do you want to play around Divine Favor by dropping one of them?
It's also not only because you want to play against around Divine Favor, but the fact is that it's turn 7, you will have 8 mana next turn, so you won't use any of those 2 cards till turn 10, right? If you play the Wild Growth right now, then you can play the second Wild Growth 1 turn
earlier.
and that means you might get the swipe one turn earlier when it actually matters.
So you mean just ramp up to accelerate the card draw?
I
see.
think it was reasonable to ramp up. I'm not saying it's completely correct, but I would say it's reasonable to play it right now because of two reasons. You want to get the card draw early on because you might, and I think that's correct assumption, you might think that the game will end faster than turn 10 with 6 mana for you, right? Because that's the outcome basically. You will have 6 mana turn 10 for the double card draw. And okay, basically that's it. Oh, I mean, the second thing will be Divine Favor, of course.
I like it. I think it's very reasonable. Now, those Boombots hit for 7, by the way, so if Moody picks up any type of damage, he's going to be pretty close to sealing it. So he's going to be playing into Repentance with a Shade, which I don't think is going to be too big of a worry of his. And now my question, do you just start charging? Or do you not want to represent the damage? Like, do you want to play it defensively? Alright, he's going to play it as though there's no Blessing of Kings coming up.
I don't think you should play it in charge mode because of the fact that your opponent has already a Nav Juggler on board, and that means he can clear a board easily with just...
Right, and if there is Noble Sack, then you wasted it.
Yeah, exactly.
Tyrion right now. He's gonna put Moody in the position of having the top deck keeper. He's got 2 draws, right? The first Wild Growth to ramp up, the second one to draw, and then the third card he's gonna be getting to... He's gonna see 2 cards basically this turn. One of them will have to be keeper, I think. Ah. The Shade will live, but Redemption makes this Tyrion really problematic. Savage Roar. If he picks up a Keeper of the Grove, I believe that's game.
Well.
1, 2... Yeah, that's game if he picks up Keeper off the top.
Now he has to use the Wild Growth into the second Wild Growth, and he has only 1 out, right? He would have been...
Well, he may still win the long game, though, because we're talking about this as though it's unwinnable. If he picks up Swipe, he can make sure the Redemption doesn't happen on Tyrion, and then you can pick up a Force of Nature, right? So it's not over, even if he doesn't get exactly what he's looking for, but he can win right away with 1 out. And I think that's his best option. Killing Tyrion here, just... It's suicide. It's absolute suicide.
He is... actually thinking about getting a double card draw next turn. Oh, by the way, I made a mistake saying when we were talking about double White Grove and Tin 10, I made a mistake by saying that he will have 6 mana left when he had, of course, 1 mana White Groves. But
right, he would have 2... Yeah, sure, he would have 8 mana left instead.
And he is actually doing it right now. So he is pushing for a double draw, 3 card draw for a single keeper, right? That's what he wants to do.
Yeah, right now it's not impossible. It's just that the Lothab will lock him out of the game for this turn at least, and possibly set up a near lethal, if not lethal, next turn. There's 11, there's 14, 15, 16, 17, and another damage would make sure the Shade dies. Yeah, he's dead next turn if he doesn't pick up anything, and there's no way he picks up anything in a position like this one. He's gonna have to probably hope... Oh, did he kill his own Shade? That's relatively sad. He did.
Yeah.
Laion going 3-0 against Moody with Secret Paladin, again showing the power of the deck. Wow, I'm actually surprised this deck is so simple to play and still so effective.
Yeah, it's brute force, man. Just a brute force. So I guess we'll be having a short break before the next match, unless we have it already. Yeah, and I will be going to a quarterfinal after the break, so don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.